Songs have been an essential form of oral tradition for centuries. They traverse generations, cultures, and continents. The catalog of traditional and folk music is massive and interconnected, and much of that music that we have here in the US and Canada found its way here from countries like Scotland, England, Ireland, Spain, and France. I grew up surrounded by traditional and folk music, Celtic, Southern Appalachian, English, Quebecois even. I started on the fiddle, an instrument that's really focused on melody. But as I began learning these songs and writing my own songs, my focus shifted towards lyrics. The language and the diction that songwriters choose for their lyrics is so important. Words can evoke emotion. They can tell a story. They can transport you to a different time or a different place. My favorite thing to do when hearing a traditional or folk song for the first time is to close my eyes and imagine where and when these took place. And if you'd like, I invite you to close your eyes and try it yourself. This is a traditional song from Scotland from the mid-1700s. Oh, the summertime has come, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, will you go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, will you go? Thank you. Now, these songs were all written by someone, but often it's forgotten who. Regardless, that song has traveled through generations upon generations. Here's another one I'll give you a chance to let your imagination work on. This time, this comes from the Ozark region of the US. It was first collected in the 1930s. Working on a new railroad, mud up to my knees. Working on a new railroad, mud up to my knees. Working for Big John Henry, ain't he so hard to please? I've been all around this world. I've been all around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas. I've been all around Cape Girardeau, parts of Arkansas. I got so goddamn hungry I could hide behind a straw. Poor boy, I've been all around this world. Thank you. And as I dove deeper into these songs, I found that they truly do come from all over. So naturally, I started to wonder, are there any from right here in the Adirondacks? I mean, the expansive wilderness, the rich history of lumber camps, mining towns, sportsman lodges, and guides. The grandeur of this place just commands a legacy. And I did find some, actually. I was introduced to a few Adirondack folk songs, like Once More a Lumberin' Go, or The Ballad of Blue Mountain Lake. I even met other songwriters, friends of mine now, who were playing these songs and writing their own. And I'm sure there's many more that I haven't heard yet. But I wanted to hear more. I'm a lover of history, and some of my favorite books are stories written by and about Adirondack people. And what I love about those is you can still visit a mountain or a river or a stream that someone's written about over the past 150 years or more, and likely nothing has changed. A few years ago, I was invited on a whitewater rafting trip on the Hudson River. It had been a wet summer, and the water was high. We started our first day with a float downstream from Newcomb, a leisurely paddle every once in a while to where we'd camp for the evening at the entrance to the Hudson River Gorge wilderness. That night, we sat around by campfire and headlamp and talked about what it would have been like to be there 150 years ago. As I said earlier, it's easy to imagine what this place might have looked like hundreds of years ago, but 150 years ago, it might have looked a lot like this. Throughout the 1800s and into the next century, the logging industry was huge in the Adirondacks. All winter long, men, typically French-Canadian or Irish, would work and live in shanty camps. They'd spend long, cold days hand-felling trees, stacking them high on sleds and skidding them down to the edge of a frozen lake or a river using a team of horses. That night, I fell asleep listening to the low hum of the rapids. The next day, we entered the Hudson River Gorge wilderness, a stretch of river with class 2 and 3 rapids. It was a lot of fun getting splashed, tossed around, bouncing off rocks. I couldn't help thinking of the river full of ice and logs, and the men they called river drivers, or jam crackers, experiencing these rapids in a different way. You see, when they'd shove these logs off into the river, they'd let the current carry them downstream. And the river drivers had a really important job. When the logs piled up, they'd go out on these logs and rocks with spikes on the bottom of their boots and 10-foot poles called pikes. And it was their job to shepherd those logs downstream. It was dangerous, cold work. On the Hudson, the logs would travel all the way down to Glens Falls, where they were corralled up in a big bend in the river and tallied. For river drivers, the days were long, the weather was cold. After a long day, they'd return to the shanty camp for a meal and to blow off steam. And in that melting pot of cultures and language, music was a way to connect. A simple song to pass the time, or a raging band to close out the night. After I got home from that trip, I knew there was a story to tell here. I felt inspired to write this historically fictitious song about two brothers that work the Hudson. It's called Headwaters, and if you'd like, I invite you once more to close your eyes and imagine where this takes you. From the headwaters of the Hudson, below the Indian, round the bend at Blue Ledges, the logs are rolling in. I was born on the banks of a river of sand and stone. My kinsmen worked for a better life from the woods to the shore. Those unforgiving waters, I've seen many a man, his life and loved ones left behind, taken at the river's hand. Roll on, my brothers, roll on. Ride the waters to the East Branch, roll on. And when I collect my pay, send the most to my baby. Drank the rest to that river, the dead and gone. Was my first winter as an axeman. My brother drove the team, stacking white pine, spruce, and balsam on the ice of Lake 13. On that first warm week in April, we left that crooked road, hung the axe and kissed our families. Down the river we'd go. Roll on, my brothers, roll on. Ride the waters to the East Branch, roll on. And when I collect my pay, send the most to my baby, drink the rest to that river, the dead and gone. Was my first winter as an axeman, that butler's moving fast, churns the depths of deepest pools, spitting logs from seasons past. And with brads on our boot soles and a tall pike in the hand, I run the frozen logs to the head of the jam. I called out for my brother, I'm too weak to pry it loose against the will of the water. Then that river lunged at us, and I fell back on the river's bank, and he still had his hold. Then the jam gave out, swept him down, he was 25 years old. Roll on, my brother, roll on. Ride the waters to the East Branch, roll on. And when I collect my pay, send the most to my baby, drink the rest to that river, the dead and gone. Well, his wife he made a widow, never found his bones. I believe he never left here, for I ever feel his soul. Now the foreman, I still work the woods, and I sing his shanty song, for the mighty Hudson swept away my brother dead and gone. Roll on, my brother, roll on. Ride the waters into heaven, roll on. And when I collect my pay, send the most to my baby, drink the rest to that river, the dead and gone. Drink the rest to that river, the dead and gone. We drink the rest to my brother, dead and gone. Thank you.